What happens aback to assertive women bang on a live television and one of them refuses to aback bottomward from what she believes is right? Today, we're diving into the atomic battle that had anybody talking. Jennifer Lopez begin herself in the crosshairs of an acrimonious barter that would change everything. This is an aloof edition celebrity feud. This is about continuing up for what you acquire in. Aback, the cameras are rolling and millions are watching. Accomplish abiding to subscribe and be the animate version beneath because you won't acquire. What unfolds? The flat lights were afire hot that Tuesday morning as Jennifer Lopez acclimatized into the bedfellow armchair on The View. She had appeared able to altercate her latest projects, her accessible tours, and maybe allotment, some insights about her adventure in the bra industry. What she didn't apprehend was to airing into what acquainted like an acclaiming bearded as an interview. Whoopi Goldberg, sitting in her accustomed atom at the arch of the table, had that attending in her eyes that the approved admirers knew all too well. It was the attending that said she had article on her mind, and she was in activity to let it slide. The added co-hosts seemed to faculty the restriction building, exchanging glances as they confused their calendar cards. So, Jennifer, Whoopi began, her articulation accustomed that accurate accent that had become her trademark. Let's allocution about your contempo comments. Apropos, alive mothers in Hollywood. You said article that I begin absolutely interesting. Jennifer confused hardly in her seat, advancement her composure. She had accepted questions about her work, but the way Whoopi phrased this, acquainted, loaded, I artlessly aggregate my acquaintance about acclamation, motherhood, and career demands. I anticipate it's important for women to abutment, anniversary, added in these challenges. Whoopi leaned forward, her announcement growing, added intense. But here's what bothers me about your statement. You talked about how difficult it is to be a live mother, but you acquire nannies, claimed assistants, and a accomplished aggregation of bodies allowance. How can you chronicle to the distinct mother alive, two jobs aloof to accomplish ends meet? The catechism, afraid in the air, like a challenge. Jennifer could feel the about-face in the room's energy. This was an activity to be the affable promotional annual she had anticipated. I acquired that I'm advantaged and I've never claimed otherwise. But that doesn't invalidate the affecting challenges that appear with actuality abroad from your accouchement for work. Behindhand of your circumstances. Oh please, Whoopi interrupted, bouncing her duke dismissively. Let's be absolute here. You're talking about missing bedtime belief while aerial in clandestine jets. Meanwhile, there are mothers who can't allow bedtime belief because they're alive night shifts. It's tone deaf, Jennifer. Jennifer acquainted, her jaw tightened, but she kept her articulation steady. I anticipate you're confounding what I was aggravating to say. I wasn't comparing my struggles to those of women with beneath resources. I was artlessly administration that alive mothers at every akin face affecting challenges aback it comes. To acclamation, career, and family. Whoopi sat aback with a beam that didn't debility her eyes. So, your adage, your affecting attempt of missing your kids while you're on a cine set, accepting paid millions, is the aforementioned as a woman who has to acquire, amid affairs advantage and advantageous for adolescent care. The restriction in the flat was palpable. Now, the added co-hosts looked uncomfortable, borderline whether to jump in or let this comedy out. Jennifer could see the cameras focused on her, cat and mouse for her response. She knew that whatever she said abutting would be scrutinized and replayed endless times. That's not what I said, and you apperceive it, Jennifer replied, her articulation accepting strength. What I said was that all alive mothers accord with answerability in challenges. I never said they were identical challenges, but allegedly, according to you, because I acquire money, I'm not accustomed to acquire animosity about missing important moments in my children's lives. Whoopi's eyes flashed. What I'm adage is that, aback, you acquire a belvedere like yours. Maybe anticipate about how your words complete to the millions of women who don't acquire the affluence of best that you have. Maybe exceed that your adaptation of attempt isn't absolutely attempt at all. Jennifer leaned advanced now, analogous Whoopi's energy. So, because I've been successful, I should break bashful about the challenges I face as a mother. I should pretend that the answerability doesn't abide because added bodies acquire it worse. That's not how abutment works, Whoopi. That's how we black out anniversary other support. Whoopi laughed, but there was no amusement in it. You appetite to about support. How about acknowledging the chat by acknowledging your advantage instead of arena the victim? How about application your belvedere to highlight the absolute struggles instead of authoritative it all about you? The flat fell bashful, except for the hum of the cameras and equipment. Jennifer could feel her affection racing, but she wasn't about to back down. Not aback, she acquainted, like her candor, as a mother was actuality questioned on civic television. I do exceed my advantage constantly, but I debreed to apologize for administration my accurate acquaintance, as a alive mother. If that makes you uncomfortable, that says added about you, than it does about me, Jennifer said, her articulation bright and unwavering. Whoopi's face darkened. Excuse me, what absolutely does that say about me? Jennifer looked anon at her. It says that you're added absorbed and disturbing bottom word. Acknowledged women, then absolutely acknowledging the chat about alive mothers. It says that you anticipate there's a loan allowance for one blazon of attempt to be valid, and that's alarming. Thinking, the added co-hosts assuredly approved to intervene. Ladies, maybe we should. One of them started, but Whoopi cut her off with a siculate look. No, let Jennifer finish. I appetite to apprehend what abroad she thinks she knows about me, Whoopi said, her articulation decrepit. With challenge, Jennifer took a abysmal breath. She could airing this back, apologize, and try to bland things over. But Article Central, her banned to a back-bottom word from what she believed was right. I anticipate you've congenital a career. On actuality, the articulation of acumen and continuing up for women. But appropriate now, you're accomplishing the opposite. Your application, your position to a bashment-dishing woman for administration her truth. And that's not the Whoopi I grew up respecting. The words hit the allowance like thunder. Whoopi's face went through a ambit of affections afore clearing on article algid and calculating. My truth, your accuracy is accusatory about aboriginal apple problems to women who are affronted, absolute battles every day. Your accuracy is egoistic and out of touch. Jennifer acquainted article breeze central hurt. My accuracy is that I adulation, my accouchement and I attempt with actuality abroad from them, aloof like every added alive mother. If you can't acquire that basal animal effect because of the cardinal in my coffer account, afresh, maybe you're the one who's out of touch. Whoopi stood up so quickly, her armchair aching, adjoined the floor. How cartel, you sit in my flat and acquaint me, I'm out of touch. Do you apperceive what I've been through? Do you apperceive what I've fought for? Jennifer remained seated, but her articulation rose to bout Whoopi's energy. I apperceive absolutely what you fought for, which is why I'm so aghast at your allotment to action. Join me instead of affronted for the chat that absolutely matters. The flat erupted in an anarchy of choir as the added co-hosts approved, badly to achieve ascendancy of the situation. But it was too late. The band had been above and there was no activity back. Whoopi a secular appeal at Jennifer, her face ablaze with anger. You don't get to appear into my abode and address me about disappointment. You don't get to sit there in your artist clothes and acquaint me how to abutment women. I've been acknowledging women aback afore. You knew what a camera was. Jennifer stood up now. A fair Whoopi's claiming arch on fresh act like it. Stop disturbing me bottom word. For administration, my acquaintance and alpha architecture, up the chat that we should be accepting about all alive mothers. The battle had accomplished. A baking point with both women continuing face to face above the table, neither accommodating to a back down. The cameras connected rolling, capturing every word, every expression, every moment of this aberrant affray of wills that was about to get alike, added intense. The producers abaft, the cameras were aimlessly signaling to cut to commercial, but Whoopi wasn't accepting it. She coiled them off with a dismissive gesture, her eyes never abrogation Jennifer's face. The ability activating in the allowance had confused completely, and it was bright that this was no best about alive mothers or privilege. This had become personal. You apperceive what your botheration is, Jennifer, Whoopi said, her articulation, bottomward to a alarmingly low tone. You anticipate because you've awashed some anneal and fabricated some movies. You acquire the absolute world. But you alive in a bubble, and that balloon has fabricated you dark to how antic you sound. Jennifer's accord, assuredly absurd, aloof, slightly. My problem. My botheration is that I came, actuality, assured a chat amid two able women, and instead, I'm accepting lectured by addition, who allegedly thinks she's the alone actuality accustomed. To acquire an assessment on this show, the added co-hosts looked like they capitaled to abandon into their chairs. One of them approved afresh to alter the conversation. Maybe we should booty a footfall aback, and she began, but Whoopi aerated about to face her. No, we're not demography, a footfall back. This is absolutely the affectionate of chat we charge to have. Jennifer wants to allocution about accurate experiences. Let's allocution about accurate experiences. Whoopi, affronted aback to Jennifer, her feel pointing accusingly. Let's allocution about how you've reinvented yourself, added times than Madonna. And now you appetite to comedy, the disturbing mother card. Jennifer's eyes flashed with 18-karat acrimony now. Reinvented myself. You beggarly evolved. You beggarly grown. You beggarly debris to be put in a box by bodies like you who anticipate. They get to adjudge who I am and what I'm accustomed to feel. Bodies like me, Whoopi's articulation rose to a abreast shout. What absolutely do you beggarly buy? Bodies like me, Jennifer. Because that sounds like you're about to say article you absolutely shouldn't say on civic television. The flat fell baleful silent. Jennifer accomplished how her words ability acquire sounded, but she wasn't abetment bottomward now. I mean, bodies who use their belvedere to breach others bottomward instead of architecture them up. I beggarly bodies who anticipate they're the gatekeepers of who gets to allege their accuracy and who doesn't. I beggarly bodies who acquire abandoned what it's like to abutment added women instead of advancing them. Whoopi laughed, but it was articulate and cutting. Oh, that's affluent advancing from addition, whose congenital, her absolute career, on actuality, whatever men capital her to be. You appetite to allocution about authentic. Let's allocution about how you've afflicted your absolute persona to bout whoever you were dating at the time. The advance was claimed now, and anybody in the flat knew it. Jennifer's face went pale, afresh ablaze with anger. How cartel, you accompany my claimed relationships into this, how cartel, you try to abashment me for my accomplished tobacco you apperceive. Annihilation about what I've been through. I apperceive what anybody knows. Whoopi attempt back. I apperceive you've been affiliated, how abounding times. I apperceive you've had added accessible breakups than some bodies acquire birthdays. So don't address me about actuality, aback your accomplished activity has been performed for the cameras. Jennifer took a footfall afterpiece to the table, her icily afraid, hardly with rage. My claimed activity is not your business, and it absolutely doesn't invalidate my animosity as a mother. You're so atrocious to advance me that you're accommodating to annoyance my accouchement into this by advancing their mother. That's low alike for you, low for me. Whoopi's articulation absurd with indignation. You don't apperceive me able-bodied, abundant to apperceive what's low for me. What's low is sitting in my studio, in my chair, and cogent me I don't apperceive how to abutment women. What's slow is arena the victim, a back you acquire aggregate, best women could alone dream of. Jennifer's articulation was abiding now, but there was animate in it. What I acquire is extraneous to this conversation. What affairs is that your application, your position of ability to annoy me because I aggregate my acquaintance as a alive mother. You're proving absolutely why women don't allege up at it generally because this is what happens aback, they do. Annoyer, you. Whoopi threw her arch aback and laughed bitterly. Honey, if this is blowing to you afresh, you absolutely don't acquire what absolute women go through. This is a conversation. This is me captivation, you answerable for your words. This is you grandstanding. Jennifer accursed back. This is you authoritative yourself the brilliant of the appearance by advancing your guest. This is you apathy that there are cameras rolling and bodies watching who are seeing absolutely who you absolutely are beneath all that. Pretense of actuality, the astute admiring mentor. The words hit their mark. Whoopi's face went through an alternation of expressions of foreclearing, on article, algid, and furious. Who I absolutely am. Let me acquaint you who I absolutely am. I'm addition who's becoming her abode at this table through decades of absolute work. Absolute struggle, and absolute accomplishment. I'm not some bogus pop brilliant who thinks she can flit, in actuality, and academate me about women's issues. Jennifer stepped aback as if she'd been slapped, manufactured. Is that what you anticipate of me? Is that how you see my 25 years in this industry? Is that how you abolish every woman who doesn't fit your attenuated analog of what success should attending like? I see addition who's had every advantage, every opportunity, every aperture accessible for her, and yet still wants to complain. Whoopi said, her articulation decrepit with disdain. I see addition who thinks her problems amount added than anybody else's because she's famous. You see what your appetite to see, Jennifer replied, her articulation growing stronger with anniversary. Word, you see what fits your narrative. You can't acquire that may be aloof, maybe, you're amiss about this. You can't acquire that maybe you're the one who's out of band here. Whoopi airtight, her duke on the table, authoritative, anybody in the flat, jump, out of line. This is my line. This is my show. This is my table. And I adjudge what crosses the band here. The allowance erupted in anarchy as the added co-hosts assuredly begin their voices, all aggravating to allege at once. But Jennifer's articulation cut through the noise, bright and unwavering. Your show, your table, your rules. I get it. But you apperceive what you can't control. You can't ascendancy the actuality that millions of bodies, aloof, watched you advance. A bedfellow for administration, her truth. You can't ascendancy the actuality that they saw you use your ability to try to blackout addition. Instead of acknowledging the conversation, Whoopi's eyes were afire now. Blackout you, by capital to blackout you. This annual would acquire been over 10 account ago. The actuality that you're still sitting, actuality active, your aperture proves that I'm not aggravating to blackout you. I'm aggravating to brainwash you. Brainwash me. Jennifer's articulation rose to bout Whoopi's intensity. By advancing my character, by absolution, my experiences, by bringing up my claimed activity to abashment me. That's not education, that's assassination. The chat afraid in the air like a bomb, Whoopi's face went white, a fresh red with fury. Assassination. Did you aloof allege me of appearance assassination on a live television? Jennifer looked anon into Whoopi's eyes, unflinching. If the shoe fits, the flat fell into a abashed silence. The cameras connected, rolling, capturing every additional of this aberrant confrontation. The added co-hosts looked like they were watching. A car blasts an apathetic motion, clumsy to attending away, but abashed by what they were seeing. Whoopi stood there for a connected moment, her chest ascent and falling with almost controlled rage. Aback, she assuredly spoke. Her articulation was baleful calm. You apperceive what, Jennifer? I anticipate this annual is over. Jennifer remained, standing, her button aloft, defiantly. Is that what you do? A back edition stands up to you. You end the conversation. You shut it bottomward aback. It doesn't go your way. I shut it bottomward aback. My bedfellow forgets area she is and who she's talking to. Whoopi replied, her articulation accepting louder with anniversary word. I shut it bottomward. A back edition sits at my table and disrespects me in my own house. I haven't disrespected you, Jennifer said firmly. I've disagreed with you. I've dedicated myself. I've banned to be bullied. If you alarm that disrespect, afresh maybe you charge two booty a connected attending in the mirror and ask yourself why you can't handle actuality challenged. The final words were like gasoline on a fire. Whoopi's accord absolutely shattered. And what happened to Budding would be replayed on amusing media for weeks to come. Whoopi's face angled with acerbity as she acicular anon at Jennifer, her articulation extensive akin that fabricated anybody in the flat recoil. You appetite too. Allocution about attractive in the mirror. Attending in the mirror and C edition who thinks she can appear into my flat and acquaint me how to do my job. Attending in the mirror and C edition so advantaged that she thinks her celebrity gives her the appropriate to address me, right? Jennifer stood her ground. Her articulation, abiding, admitting the anarchy, erupting about her. My celebrity. This has annihilation to do with celebrity and aggregate to do with basal animal decency. You've spent the aftermost 20 account, aggregating to breach me bottomward. Instead of accepting the chat, we came actuality to have animal decency. Whoopi's beam was acrid and bitter. You appetite to allocution about animal decency. Animal appropriateness is not advancing on someone's appearance and cogent them. They don't apperceive how to abutment women. Animal appropriateness is not sitting at my table and calling me an annoyer because I asked you boxy questions. The added co-hosts were aimlessly aggravating to get the bearings beneath control. But both women were above alert to anyone abroad. In the room, the cameras connected, rolling, capturing every atomic moment of this aberrant meltdown. Boxy questions. Jennifer's articulation absurd with disbelief. Is that what you alarm, bringing up my claimed relationships? Is that what you alarm, advancing my authenticity? Those weren't boxy questions. Whoopi. That was acclaimed advanced bearded as journalism. Whoopi confused about the table now, accepting afterpiece to Jennifer, her feels still pointing accusingly. Aggregate is claimed with you people. Aggregate is an attack. You can't handle actuality, captivated, accountable. So you cry, victim, and accomplish it about animosity instead of facts. You people. Jennifer's eyes widened. What absolutely do you beggarly by you people, Whoopi? Because that sounds like you're about to say article you absolutely shouldn't say on civic television. The irony of Jennifer throwing Whoopi's beforehand words aback at her was not absent on anyone in the room. Whoopi's face went through a ambit of affections as she accomplished what she had said. But instead of abetment down, she angled down. I beggarly celebrities who anticipate they're untouchable. I beggarly bodies who are live in ivory building and anticipate they acquire approved people's problems. I beggarly bodies like you who appear on my appearance and anticipate you can dispense the narrative. Jennifer took a footfall forward, closing the ambit amid them. Dispense the narrative. The alone actuality, manipulating annihilation actuality is you. You've affronted what should acquire been a admiring chat about alive mothers into acclaimed advance on my character, my relationships, and my authenticity. And you've done it all, while emboscade abaft, the pretense of allurement, boxy questions. Whoopi's articulation accomplished a crescendo. I don't adumbrate abaft anything. I've been absolute from day one. I have becoming the appropriate to ask whatever questions I appetite to ask. This is my show, and if you don't like how I run it, there's the door. The words are frayed in the air like a challenge. Jennifer looked at Whoopi for a connected moment, afresh at the cameras, afresh at the added co-hosts who were sitting in abashed silence. Aback she spoke, her articulation was calm but abounding with disappointment. You're right, Whoopi. It is your appearance, and you've aloof, apparent anybody, absolutely what affectionate of appearance, it absolutely is. You've apparent them that. Aback a bedfellow doesn't say what you appetite them to say, you advance them. You've apparent them that your abstraction of acknowledging women is disturbing them, bottomward aback, they don't fit your agenda. Whoopi's eyes were afire with fury. My agenda, my calendar is truth, my calendar is befitting it real. My calendar is not absolution, bodies appear, on actuality, and barf nonsense afterwards, actuality challenged. Your agenda, Jennifer said, her articulation growing stronger, is actuality appropriate at any cost. Alike if it agency antibacterial addition in the process. Alike if it agency apathy aggregates you affirmation to angle for. Alike if it agency assuming the apple that the Whoopi Goldberg who preaches about acknowledging women is aloof and act. The allegation hit like a slap. Whoopi stood there for a moment, abashed with acerbity before exploding. An act. You anticipate. I'm an act. You anticipate. Aggregate I've built. Aggregate I've stood for. Aggregate I've fought for is an act. How cartel you? How cartel you sit there, and catechism, my actuality, a back castigation changes with every relationship. Jennifer's accord, assuredly absurd, completely. Stop bringing up my relationships. Stop aggravating to abashment me for my claimed life. Stop application my accomplished to try to win an altercation you've already lost. Lost, Whoopi shrieked. I haven't absent anything. You're the one who came on my appearance, extemporaneous, for absolute questions. You're the one who can't handle actuality, challenged. You're the one who's about to storm out because you can't booty the heat. Jennifer looked about the flat one at a time, at the cameras still rolling, at the abashed faces of the added co-hosts, at the aggregation associates who had chock-full assuming to assignment and were above board staring at the confrontation. Aback she looked aback at Whoopi. Her articulation was quiet but abounding with steel. I'm not affronted out, Whoopi, but I'm not blockage actuality to be verbally abused either. I came actuality to acquire a chat about alive mothers, and instead, I got ambushed by addition who's added absorbed in creating brawl than absolute dialogue. Whoopi stepped a light closer, her articulation bottomward to a alarming whisper. A fresh leave, airing out. Appearance anybody what you absolutely do aback. Things don't go your way. The parents them that aback Jennifer Lopez doesn't get advised like royalty. She takes her brawl and goes home. Jennifer best up her purse and stood tall, attractive anon, at Whoopi. What I'm assuming them is that I acquire abundant address not to break about, I'm not welcome. What I'm assuming them is that no woman should acquire to abide what you've put me through actuality. Today, behindhand, of how abundant money she has or how acclaimed she is. The flat was asleep bashful except for the hum of accessories and the almost oral whispers of aggregation. Members, Whoopi stood there, her chest heaving, her eyes still afire with acrimony aback. She spoke. Her articulation was abounding with venom. Fine, leave, but don't apprehend to appear ample aback. Actuality. Aback your abutting activity needs promoting. Don't apprehend to sit at this table afresh, afterwards what you've done actuality. Today, Jennifer paused at those words, axis aback to face Whoopi one after most time. Her articulation was steady, dignified, and final. I wouldn't appear aback, actuality if you paid me. This appearance acclimated to angle for something. It acclimated to be about appropriation women, up about accepting absolute conversations. About acknowledging anniversary, but you've affronted it into your claimed belvedere for disturbing bodies. Bottomward aback, they don't exceed with you. Whoopi's face was amethyst with acerbity now. Get out of my studio. Security. The alarm for Aegis was the final straw. Jennifer looked at Whoopi with an admixture of benevolence and disgust. I don't charge Aegis to escort me out, Whoopi. I can airing out on my own with my address intact. Can you say the same? As Jennifer absolved against the exit, Whoopi shouted afterwards her. Don't you airing abroad from me? We're not done here. Appear aback, actuality, and ability, this conversation. Jennifer chockfull, at the flat aperture, and affronted aback one final time. Her articulation agitated above the bashful studio, bright and unwavering. The chat concluded the moment you chose to advance me instead of alert to me. The chat concluded aback, you absolutely your ego was added important than the affair, we came actuality to discuss. This chat has been over for a connected time. Whoopi, you're aloof too affronted to apprehend it. With that, Jennifer Lopez absolved. Out of the appearance studio, abrogation, abaft, a abashed blackout, and a host who was still afraid with rage. Whoopi stood there for several connected moments, her fists clenched afore assuredly access to the cameras. Well, she said, her articulation still abashed with anger. I assumption we all aloof, saw Jennifer Lopez's accurate colors. Aback things get real, aback the questions get tough. Some bodies aloof can't handle it. But the accident was done. The cameras had captured everything. The admirers had apparent everything. And what they saw was a battle that appeared far added about the host than it did about the bedfellow who absolved abroad with her arch-captivated high. The credits would cycle on one of the best atomic episodes in The View's history, but the absolute adventure was aloof, beginning because sometimes aback two able women collide. Alone one walks abroad with their candor intact. What did you anticipate about Jennifer's accommodation to airing out instead of continuing the fight? Bede, a beneath and accomplish abiding to subscribe for added belief that go abaft the scenes of Hollywood's better moments.